In 2014, a team of French researchers made a discovery that would challenge everything we thought we knew about life, death, and time itself. When we first revived it, I remember thinking, this thing has been frozen since before humans painted caves, and now it's alive again, infecting cells like it never stopped. Dr. Jean-Michel Claverie and his team at Aix-Marseille University had just resurrected pithovirus sibericum, a giant virus extracted from Siberian permafrost. It had been dormant for 30,000 years. We placed it in a petri dish with amoebas. Within hours, it was replicating. 30,000 years of sleep, and it woke up hungry. But this wasn't just a scientific curiosity, it was a warning. People don't realize what's actually locked inside permafrost. It's not just ice and soil, it's a biological time capsule. Bacteria, viruses, organic material from mammoths, from ancient humans, from species we haven't even identified yet. Dr. Mathieu Legendre has spent over a decade studying these frozen archives. What he's found is both fascinating and deeply concerning. Permafrost covers about 25% of the Northern Hemisphere's land surface. Some of it has been frozen continuously for hundreds of thousands of years. And now, for the first time in human history, it's thawing at an accelerating rate. The Arctic is warming nearly 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. Areas that have remained frozen since the Pleistocene epoch are now turning into mud and releasing their contents into the environment. We've already revived several ancient viruses in the lab: pithovirus, mollivirus, pandoravirus. Each time we dig deeper, we find something new. The question isn't whether ancient pathogens exist. We know they do. The question is what happens when they're released outside of a controlled laboratory. In 2016, that question got a partial answer. A heatwave swept across the Yamal Peninsula in Siberia, thawing permafrost that had been frozen. For 75 years, an anthrax outbreak. It killed a 12-year-old boy and hospitalized dozens of people. Over 2,000 reindeer died. The source was traced to a reindeer carcass that had been frozen in the permafrost since the 1940s. The bacteria was still viable. Anthrax is a known pathogen. We have treatments, vaccines, protocols. But what about something we've never encountered before? That's what keeps me up at night. We're talking about organisms that existed before modern humans. Our immune systems have never seen them. We have no antibodies, no memory, no defense. The viruses Claverie's team has revived so far only infect amoebas, not humans. But that doesn't mean human infecting pathogens aren't buried in the same ice. We know smallpox victims were buried in Siberia. We know plague victims were buried in permafrost regions. These graves are now at risk of thawing, and unlike the viruses we study, these are pathogens we know can kill humans. Beyond known diseases, there's an even more unsettling possibility: pathogens that predate human existence entirely. There were viruses circulating in prehistoric ecosystems that we've never been exposed to. They infected mammoths, woolly rhinos, ancient bison. Some of those viruses could potentially cross over to modern species. We simply don't know. The permafrost is also releasing something else, something that compounds the problem in ways scientists are only beginning to understand: methane and carbon dioxide. Massive amounts. As the organic material in permafrost decomposes, it releases greenhouse gases that accelerate warming, which thaws more permafrost, which releases more gas. It's a feedback loop. This means the thawing isn't linear, it's exponential, and the window to study these ancient pathogens before they're released uncontrollably is shrinking. We're in a race against time. Every summer, more permafrost melts. Every summer, more ancient material is exposed. Mining operations, oil drilling, construction projects, they're all digging into layers that haven't seen sunlight in millennia. In northeastern Siberia, entire landscapes are collapsing as the frozen ground beneath them gives way. Massive craters have opened up, some over 100 meters deep, exposing ice that formed during the last ice age. These are called thermokarst formations. They're essentially wounds in the Earth's surface, and they're growing. Satellite imagery shows they're expanding by 10 to 30 meters per year in some regions. For researchers like Claverie and Legendre, the challenge isn't just scientific, it's logistical and political. Most of this permafrost is in remote regions of Russia, Canada, and Alaska. Getting samples requires international cooperation, significant funding, and time. And time is the one thing we don't have. Despite the urgency, global attention remains focused on other aspects of climate change: rising sea levels, extreme weather, food security. Ancient pathogens rarely make the headlines. It's understandable. It sounds like science fiction. zombie viruses from the Ice Age. But the science is real. We've proven these organisms can survive for tens of thousands of years. We've proven they can become active again. What we haven't proven, and what we desperately need to understand, is how dangerous they might be. The team has proposed establishing a global monitoring network, sampling permafrost across the Arctic to catalogue what's frozen inside before it's too late. We need to know what's coming. Because right now, we're flying blind. Every pathogen we discover in the lab is one we can study, prepare for, develop countermeasures against. But if something emerges in a remote village with no warning, with no identification, the consequences could be catastrophic. For now, the ancient ice continues to melt. And buried within it, organisms that last saw sunlight when mammoths roamed the earth are slowly waking up. My prediction is this becomes one of the defining challenges of the next century, not because we'll necessarily face a pandemic from ancient pathogens, but because we don't know if we will, and that uncertainty, that complete lack of preparation, is what makes it so dangerous. We opened Pandora's box in the laboratory under controlled conditions. Nature is opening it now across millions of square kilometers, and unlike us, nature doesn't have a containment protocol.